Hello, and welcome back to Morning Bible. Today, we will be reading through Matthew chapter 13 in the New English translation. So let's dive on in. Matthew chapter 13. On that day, after Jesus went out of the house, he sat by the lake. And such a large crowd gathered around him that he got into a boat to sit while the whole crowd stood on the shore. He told them many things in parables, saying, Listen. A sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured them. Other seeds fell on the rocky ground, where they did not have much soil. They sprang up quickly because the soil was not deep. But when the sun came up, they were scorched, and because they did not have sufficient root, they withered. Other seeds fell among the thorns, and they grew up and choked them. But other seeds fell on good soil and produced grain, some 100 times as much, some 60, and some 30. The one who has ears had better listen. Then the disciples came to him and said, Why do you speak to them in parables? He replied, You have been given the opportunity to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but they have not. For whoever has will be given more, and will have an abundance. But whoever does not have, even what he has will be taken from him. For this reason I speak to them in parables. Although they see, they do not see. And although they do not hear, nor do they understand. And concerning them, the prophecy of Isaiah is fulfilled that says, You will listen carefully, yet you will never understand. You will look closely, yet you will never comprehend. For the heart of this people has become dull. They are hard of hearing, and they have shut their eyes, so that they would not see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their hearts, and turn, and I would heal them. But your eyes are blessed because they see, and your ears because they hear. For I tell you the truth, many prophets and righteous people longed to see what you see, but they do not see it, and to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. So listen to the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word about the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches what was sown in his heart. That is the seed sown along the path. The seed sown on rocky ground is the person who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. But he has no root in himself and does not endure. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, immediately he falls away. The seed sown among thorns is a person who hears the word, but worldly cares and the seductiveness of wealth choke the word, so it produces nothing. But as for the seed sown on good soil, this is the person who hears the word and understands. He bears fruit, yielding 100, 60, or 30 times what was sown. He presented them with another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a person who sowed good seed in his field. But while everyone was sleeping, an enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the plant sprouted and bore grain, then the weeds also appeared. So the slaves of the owner came and said to him, Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Then where did the weeds come from? He said, An enemy has done this. So the slaves replied, Do you want us to go and gather them? But he said, No, since in gathering the weeds you may uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. At harvest time I will tell the reapers, First collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned, but then gather the wheat into my barn. He gave them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed that a man took and sowed in his field. It is the smallest of all the seeds, but when it has grown, it is the greatest garden plant and becomes a tree, so that the wild birds come and nest in its branches. He told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like yeast that a woman took and mixed with 3 measures of flour until all the dough had risen. Jesus spoke all these things in parables to the crowds. He did not speak to them without a parable. This fulfilled what was spoken by the prophets. I will open my mouth in parables. I will announce what has been hidden from the foundations of the world. Then he left the crowds and went into the house. And his disciples came to him, saying, Explain to us the parable of the weeds in the field. He answered, The one who sowed the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seed are the people of the kingdom. The weeds are the people of the evil one, and the enemy who sows them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. As the weeds are collected and burned with fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send his angels, and they will gather from his kingdom everything that causes sin, as well as all lawbreakers. They will throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. The one who has ears had better listen. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure, hidden in a field, that a person found and hid. Then, because of joy, he went and sold all that he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he found a pearl of great value, he went out and sold everything he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net that was cast into the sea that caught all kinds of fish. When it was full, they pulled it ashore, sat down, and put the good fish into containers and threw the bad away. It will be this way at the end of the age. Angels will come and separate the evil from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all these things? They replied, Yes. Then he said to them, Therefore every expert in the law who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like the owner of a house who brings out of his treasure what is new and old. Now when Jesus finished these parables, he moved on from there. Then he came to his hometown and began to teach the people in their synagogue. They were astonished and said, Where did this man get such wisdom and miraculous powers? Isn't this a carpenter's son? Isn't his mother named Mary? And aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? And aren't all his sisters here with us? Where did he get all this? And so they took offense at him. But Jesus said to them, A prophet is not without honor except in his hometown and in his own house. And he did not do many miracles there because of their unbelief. That was Matthew chapter 13 in the New English Translation. A couple things that I want to point out today. The parable of the sower was reminding me of mega churches, honestly. You go to a mega church, well, I hope you don't go to a mega church, but if you go to a mega church, then yeah, they're going to be super nice when they see you. Even if you've been there 50 times before, they probably won't remember who you are or even your face because there's so many people that go there. Even like a satellite church for one of these mega churches. And it's insane that they're satellite churches because the pastors, quote unquote pastors, the satellite church pastor doesn't actually preach. I think the only authority that the pastor of the satellite church has is to like do announcements and things like that. Maybe some shepherding for the more local people of that satellite church. But outside of that, they, as far as I know, they don't have any power. So anyway, as far as I know, mega churches aren't really known for their evangelical efforts. They're not known for the ministries that they have. The church that I'm a partner of is very well known in our area because we have a homeless ministry. Every Tuesday night, our church, along with some other churches now from our area, because they see the good that it's been doing, will serve a meal to the homeless people in our area that want to come and also preach the gospel. That would be a seed producing grain. And I'm not saying that to say that my church is better than anyone else's. It's a very small church and it's probably at times more than my church can actually handle because we have almost no money. But anyway, what is it that mega churches do? I've literally never heard of a mega church doing anything. I don't even know if I've heard of mega churches sending out missionaries. Who else would send out missionaries? Who else has the money to send out a missionary? So I looked this up, and Joel Osteen supposedly makes $54 million a year. A pastor making $54 million a year. Talk about not being able to serve money and God, right? Like, what is Joel Osteen's church doing that is producing grain? I would love to know, honestly. This passage put into my mind that if you're trying to find a church, you need to ask the people there, what good does this church do to the community, for the community? Is there any sort of outreach for the unbelievers in the area? If not, maybe that should put up, maybe not a red flag, maybe a yellow flag or an orange flag. Why would you want to be part of a church that doesn't have any sort of ministry for people not inside of the church? I'm sure Joel Osteen's church has tons of programs for people that are part of his church. The thousands and thousands, or if not tens of thousands, of people that consider themselves part of his church, even though probably only 100 people in his church actually know him. And the other issue is if you're in a church that does not have a ministry that helps people in your area, and I'm not saying it has to be a homeless ministry like my church has, but if it has nothing, are you in a church where bringing that up and asking the elders or the leadership, whatever your church calls it, and asking them if you can do that and if there's any way they can financially support you in doing that, is that something that you can do? Or are they just going to say, no, it's fine. We're concentrating on our VBS program. We're concentrating on getting a new coffee machine. I don't know, whatever it is. I would argue that if your church does not have a ministry for people in the community that are not part of your church, and you think that the leadership of that church would not be willing to do something to support you in making a ministry and going out and doing it, should you be there? It's just stuff to think about. The next part that I want to bring up, it'll probably be short, hopefully, maybe. It is the end of verse 55, I guess. And aren't his brothers James, Joseph, Simon, and Judas? And aren't all his sisters here with us? I think for most Christians, this is further proof that Mary had children. And I know that it doesn't explicitly say that they were Mary's children, but how many instances do you need to have of people saying that Jesus has siblings before you actually understand it and receive it and just believe it, right? How much more do you need? There is zero biblical evidence that Mary died a virgin. Not to get too much into the weeds, but she would actually be almost sinning against Joseph if that was the case. And I want to keep this a pretty clean podcast, but yeah, she would have been committing some sort of basically sin against him had she continued to keep her virginity for the rest of her life. That's all I'll say about that. And the other thing is Mary doesn't have to stay a virgin. There's no place in the Bible where it says Mary has to stay a virgin. It's just that she needed to be a virgin when she gave birth to Jesus. And then after that, it doesn't even matter because she did her part. She did what she was prophesied to do. And that's where it stops. That's where the concentration and fixation on Mary should stop. But Catholics have taken it to such a degree that they believe that she maintained her virginity until she died, and that she's someone that we're to pray to, and that she is someone that they see as their mother. So apparently, a lot of Catholics are 2,000 years old. It's really weird. But again, I said that I would try to keep this short. All that to say, this is just another verse where it says that Jesus had siblings, and it wouldn't really make sense if they were just Joseph's children from a previous marriage, which we have zero evidence for. But anyway, this has been Matthew chapter 13, and tomorrow will be Matthew chapter 14, and I will see you then.